common staple, if you will, that I see around the community is that most people are worried about how the gameplay will be in the upcoming title Kingdom Hearts 3. To a degree, I am one of those people, but I certainly used to be more extreme when it came to worrying how Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to play out in terms of its gameplay, especially with our recent titles. I figure we go into previous trailers and see really how far we have come in terms of combat. Oh, good old 2015, our first real look at Kingdom Hearts 3. But Limit, what about the first trailer with the— Hey, shh, no, we don't talk about that. So looking at the gameplay in this trailer, it was very obvious that the gameplay for Kingdom Hearts 3 was in very early development. From what I can tell, the movement is a bit more stiff than what we got with the recently released Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, A Fragmentary Passage, which from the date of this trailer released almost 2 whole years later. In that game, the new auto-jumping feature, along with certain environmental obstacles made for very poor movement at times, which is something no other KH game has really struggled with before. Obviously, I can only go on what we see, as we have never had a demo of this build for Kingdom Hearts 3, but from our previous encounters with the platforming in 0.2.
Was I playing Dot Hack? I've been slacking on Dot Hack, so I don't think so. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my god! Okay, we're fine.
I truly hope this is fixed by the time KH3 comes out. In terms of gameplay mechanics, this trailer, and I suppose the one before it if we really have to bring it up, confirmed the command menu making a return from Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. In Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, the command menu is easily accessible with your D-pad. It has 4 main options, being Attack, Magic, Items, and Summon in Kingdom Hearts 1. In Kingdom Hearts 2, it has the same 4 options making a return from KH1, with the added options for Dry Forms, Limits, and the option to switch out party members from your command menu instead of having you going to a save point like in the first game. From this trailer, all we can really see as far as combos go, since the game with the command menus also have the abilities menu where it lets you affect what types of combos you can do, we see some very, for lack of a better word, stiff combos? Sort of like how the basic Keyblade combos worked in Birth by Sleep and Dream Trap Distance. Of course that stands to reason, the same people working on KH3 are the same ones who worked on those games. If you are very into Kingdom Hearts, you can probably see the difference between how the combos look in KH3 and how they look in, say, Kingdom Hearts 2. Where the movement and combos are much more tighter and fluid feeling. I suppose that's where the argument lies with many people. There are people who don't seem to mind what the combat is as long as it's Kingdom Hearts 3, and in turn have problems with those who know the difference in the gameplay and say the gameplay looks bad compared to how it used to be. Personally, the moment I saw how Sora moved in this trailer, I knew the team had a lot of work they had to do. Not to make sure that the game played like Kingdom Hearts 1 or Kingdom Hearts 2, but to really touch up on already pre-established bases that made the fans fall in love with the gameplay of the games in the first place. At the same time, you never want to jump to conclusions because as we move on to this next trailer in a bit, there are a lot of improvements they made as time went on, and that's something people seem to forget about, the major improvements. Moving on and finishing up with this trailer, it was really the first, and one of the last, showcases of the attraction flow mechanic, which is funny seeing as how that was really the bigger focus of this trailer. Every attraction flow that is shown in this trailer isn't shown again in the next trailer, so is it safe to assume that they are just trying to remove them from the game, or they are just trying to capitalize on different and new aspects of Kingdom Hearts 3? Either or, there is one thing from attraction flow that really had me worried, and it wasn't how big and seemingly invincible they seem to be, but how it seems like they are trying to make everything be more flashy, I guess you could say, than useful. More on this later, but yes, what do you guys think they're going to do with the attraction flow mechanic? Do you think they're going to scrap it completely because they have so many other new mechanics? Or do you think they're just trying to make room for other things to showcase what the game really has to offer? Rolling over to the Jump Festa 2016 trailer, it won't take very long to go over since there really isn't anything new to talk about. The movement from the last trailer to this one seems to be the same, and as far as combos go, it really just shows Sora using basic magic commands. One thing to note is that yet again it seems that they are trying to show how flashy everything is, as in an attempt to tell us look how pretty we can make everything now, if it wasn't already evident from the first trailers. Not much is shown in terms of ground combos, and well, air combos are basically if you took away the fluidity of KH2 combos and also still made the combos look like they came from KH2, if that made any sense. Again, a lot of people in the community could tell KH3 still needed some work, especially in terms of gameplay. Ah man, the orchestra trailer. I remember seeing this live at the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra. Although I was super hyped to see this new trailer in person, I didn't let the hype cloud what we were shown. Was there any progression from the last trailer to this one? Well yeah, there was actually, quite a bit. But at the same time, these newer things caused more worries for myself and people in the community. Here, let's talk about what I mean. To start off, this is really the first in-depth look we have at how drive forms work hand in hand with Keyblade transformations. You know how guard form and counter shield are a thing, or power form with drill punch, and even the newly introduced second form, which is basically like limit form from Cage 2, but it's only accessible with the Kingdom Key equipped. I and many others enjoy how intricate they are trying to make the combat system, basically mixing in drive forms and command styles from Birth by Sleep. Though as I said before, it does come with its problems. This first problem links back to situation commands and how you are able to obtain them. In 0.2, whenever you would combo an enemy, the arrow prompts would come up to let you know when you are close to either entering a command style or using a very random magic finisher. The problem comes in when we get to KH3. It seems as if they changed it to where you could hit an enemy like 3 times and suddenly you have the option to go into set drive form, Keyblade transformation, command style, whatever you really want to call it. Sure, you have the option to go into set situation command, but with how many flashy options the game has been showing, will they really make each Keyblade transformation situational, or are you able to just go into the first seemingly OP thing that comes up and just use that the entire time? This obviously ties into the second issue, balancing. You know, with how easy it is to trigger Keyblade transformations or how to gain random magic finishers. Balancing is any good part of a video game's gameplay, but that is the main aspect that took a lot of fun out of the handheld games, being able to get through the entire game with one thing. It's not just negative things in this trailer though. There are plenty of great things that really shows how much they are trying to flesh out the system, basically showing how certain magics are used in a different way depending on the Keyblade transformation Sora happens to be in. For example, when it shows Sora using Thunder in guard form, the Thunder surrounds him as if to protect him. That is something I am looking very forward to in Kingdom Hearts 3. Just being able to test what you can do in certain aspects of the game is something I enjoy in a video game. It causes that need to want to play the game more. As I have stated numerous times at this point though, if they are able to find a way to balance all of the new things, it should make for a very fun game. All in all, they showed a bit of progress in gameplay in terms of intricate mechanics, but it links back to what I said about them making things more flashy than safe and practical. It's fine to introduce new things, but don't focus so much on one aspect of the gameplay, that being how flashy everything is, and more so on every piece of it. Now see, at this point, I'm not going to bring up flashiness anymore, as I'm sure this trailer is the #1 example of it, so I won't bore you by saying this again and again. In any event, next is the Toy Story D23 trailer we got around summertime this year. While there isn't much in terms of real combat progression, there are a few things that are shown that come off as extremely interesting to me. At the start of the trailer, shout out to Square for uploading part of the trailer without that stupid text, we see some flow motion, and as I am normally one for not liking flow motion after its initial attempt in Dream Drop Distance, it seems that for Kingdom Hearts 3 that flow motion will be mostly used for traveling to places rather than fighting, which makes sense seeing as the worlds themselves are going to be bigger than we have ever seen in any Kingdom Hearts game to date. While we don't know the full extent of what we can do with flow motion in battle, I for one hope that it's more for traversing through the worlds than being practical for fighting, since there are plenty of new things we can do anyway. One concern that I have that I noticed, and of course this can be fixed with time, is the camera when Sora enters his magic-based form and starts to use double arrow guns. Double arrow guns, from what I can gather, seems like a very cool callback to how Wisdom Form was in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. The problem arises when the camera is all over the screen when you're trying to fight various enemies. In some of the previous games, more so the numbered titles, no matter what you were doing, the camera always focused, basically centered behind Sora, so we were able to see what was on the field. That way enemies aren't able to sneak up on us from whatever angle and just kill us without warning. 0.2 has a similar problem with its camera doing this depending on where the enemies are located when you are fighting them. Again, I do think this is going to be fixed by the time the game comes out, but it was just something I figured I'd point out. Moving on in the trailer, it shows us evidence of magic finishers making a return from Kingdom Hearts 2, and I could not be happier. Magic finishers in Kingdom Hearts 2 made for some very awesome and unique combos. The player had the option to be able to play around with certain magics to see what worked and what didn't. Here are a few examples of what I mean and what you could do with magic finishers and how you could work them into your combos.
Yeah, take that! This is it! Defense! Back off! Defense! This is it! Defense! It's over! Defense! Back off! Defense! This is it!
Pretty cool, right? I know that in Kingdom Hearts 0.2 magic finishers aren't really a thing, or rather, since they were trying to replicate the feel of Aqua from Birth by Sleep, while also throwing KH3 aspects into the mix, they introduced the jaw spells instead to act as the finishers. That's my guess to it anyway. Regardless, the fact that they brought back magic finishers really gives me a good vibe towards the game in terms of how many options we may be able to do with just our combos and how we possibly won't be tied down to just using situation commands all the time. The last part of the trailer that I would love to cover would be of course the Hyper Hammer and Drill Punch command style type of combat. I mean, I could talk about the mechs later in the trailer, but I mean, it's just optional mech section, so there really isn't much need to talk about them at all. Going back to Hyper Hammer and Drill Punch, this is of course obtained through Power Form. What I find to be really awesome and interesting is that it seems depending on what Keyblade transformation you were in, as evident with the Guard Form and Thunder example from earlier, it seems your magic is different. For example, when Sora is in his base form, he uses regular projectile fire, but while he's using Hyper Hammer, his fire usage is very reminiscent of how fire looked in Kingdom Hearts 2, where it surrounded Sora. This is what I mean when I say more intricate gameplay and how they're trying to go about it. In some ways, I have the thought processes of, wow, I wonder how that works and how far I can go with it, to man, I really hope that's balanced and not overpowered. And with the fact that every game the team that is currently working on Kingdom Hearts 3 made beforehand, there is always something that isn't balanced and is grossly overpowered, which of course is where the worry comes in with the game. At the same time, patches do exist, and how Square has been listening to us this past year and patching games we want them to, I'm pretty confident almost everything will be fine in Kingdom Hearts 3. Of course, I do hope the game is good enough by release so we won't have to worry about getting patches, but who doesn't, right? With that being the last trailer, I can honestly say that I am very much looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3 and what it has to offer, and cannot wait to play it. Do I believe the game will have its problems? Well, I would say yes, as every game, no matter what it is, may have a problem here or there. But I also believe the game will be fun, and that's all I can ask for. From Kingdom Hearts 1 to the present, each game has had very unique gameplay mechanics that either spoke to the player, or in most cases, against the player. The point of this video was to really cover all the different types of gameplay we've had in the series and see how far Kingdom Hearts 3 has come, and to see if it compares, despite it still being in development. Whether or not Kingdom Hearts 3 takes from the good aspects or the bad aspects of the series, we kinda have an idea now, but we won't know for certain until we either get a demo or the game itself, and with the game supposedly coming out in 2018, we won't have to wait very long to find out. Do you guys have a favorite gameplay style from a previous game in the series? Also, do you think Kingdom Hearts 3 will continue to improve from what we see with each new trailer and polish any negative points the games before it suffered from? Or do you believe the opposite? I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch the video. If any of you enjoyed it or just want to show support, give the video a like and subscribe if you are new. It's always very appreciated whenever I work really hard on a video like this. As always, it's been Limit, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.